When I moved from Louisiana to Texas, it felt like the right thing to do. My grandson, Cody Miller, insisted on it. Practically begged, actually. "Nana, you took care of me when no one else did. Let me take care of you now." He said it over the phone, his voice full of conviction. It was the same tone he used to talk about his green tech startup, the one that turned him into a millionaire before he turned 30. I said yes, of course. How could I not? He had always been kind to me. He arranged for a modest trailer on the outskirts of Austin, tucked behind a gas station and a rundown feed store. Nothing fancy. A white single-wide with rust along the baseboards and a porch that leaned slightly to the left when it rained. Still, it was quiet. There was a pecan tree out front and a hummingbird feeder I could refill from my window. Each month, Cody sent $8,000 for your needs, routed through his stepmother, Brooke. She was the logistics person, the one who texted when the electric bill was due, dropped off grocery store pies every few weeks, and reminded me to take my medications, even though they were rarely refilled on time. "We've got everything under control," she told me once, pressing a store-bought pie into my hands like it was a favor. "Just relax and enjoy your retirement." And for a time I tried to believe her. I told myself things were fine, even as the trailer started to smell faintly of mildew, even as I rationed out my inhaler to make it last through the month. The money Cody sent was generous. I assumed it was going somewhere: insurance, taxes, medications, rent. Maybe things were just more expensive than I remembered. Still, something itched at me. The kind of quiet unease that wakes you in the middle of the night, even when there's no sound at all. Then, one afternoon, Cody came to visit unexpectedly. I hadn't seen him in months. He was taller than I remembered, leaner, more tired around the eyes. He hugged me at the door, glanced around the living room, and said nothing at first. It wasn't until he opened the fridge and saw nothing but a half-empty bottle of ketchup and a shriveled onion that he asked, "Nana, is the $8,000 helping at all?" I looked him straight in the eye, steady as I could, and said, "Cody, I have to choose between eating and breathing. What do you think?" After Cody's visit, something shifted. Not in the air. Not in the weather. In her. Brooke. She didn't yell. Didn't confront. That wasn't her style. But the pies stopped coming. She used to bring them in that bright blue bakery box, always blueberry. I didn't like blueberry much, but I never told her. It was the gesture that mattered. That too disappeared. The first week, she dropped off frozen leftovers in a plastic grocery bag and waved from the car. The second week, she didn't come at all. The third, she showed up unannounced with a tray of mystery casserole, already cold. "It's expensive for everyone right now, you know," she said, setting the tray down without meeting my eye. Smiled. Nodded. Thanked her. Then I scraped it into the bin the moment she left. The smell lingered. The humiliations were small, measured. Steady trickle. "Didn't you say you didn't like sweet potatoes?" she asked, handing me 3 pounds of them. My mail started arriving later. Then not at all. She said she was handling it easier this way. I asked for more asthma medication. She told me the pharmacy was out. When I called myself, they said no one had requested a refill in 6 months. When I mentioned needing to get my air conditioner looked at, it rattled loud as a freight train. She said it wasn't urgent. Maybe don't use it until fall. Fall in Texas is still summer. By July, the inside of the trailer was hotter than a kiln. I'd sit under the ceiling fan, wet cloth draped over my chest, trying not to move too much. One time I passed out for a minute or two. Woke up with my cheek against the floor. Dusted myself off and didn't mention it. Felt like asking for anything now carried interest. Like I was adding to some invisible tab only she could see. One morning I overheard her on the phone. She was standing just outside the trailer, but the screen door was cracked. "I've got a full plate," she said. And on top of that, she expects everything done for her, like this is assisted living. That stung. Not just her tone, but the realization. I wasn't family to her. I was a burden. Line item. Something to manage, then discard. When I confronted her, gently, about the mail, she didn't deny anything. She just stared at me like I'd embarrassed her. "I'm doing everything I can," she said. "I know," I replied. "That's what worries me." After that, she started bringing her husband's name into things. "Cody said this. Cody thinks that." But when I asked Cody directly, his voice would falter. "No, I never said that. Why would she?" He didn't finish the sentence. Instead, he promised to look into things. I told him not to rush. But inside, something cold was forming. A steady, slow crystallizing of what I already suspected. The money was vanishing. And Brooke had a shovel in her hand. She brought her own grocery bags now. Took my trash out before I could see what was missing. Asked strange questions. "Did you take your meds this morning? Do you remember what day it is? Any trouble with your memory lately?" First I thought she was just being careful. Then I saw her notebook. She left it in the bathroom once. A little spiral-bound pad. On the cover it said, "Care Notes." Inside, page after page. "Confused today." Repeated same question 3x. Forgot daughter-in-law's name. Said she misplaced meds, they were right there. Every mistake, every pause, every stumble I made. Documented. Collected. I closed the notebook, set it back where I found it. Didn't say a word. I started writing things down myself. Not in a notebook, too risky. I used the back of receipts, the edges of junk mail. I kept a tiny folder hidden behind the loose panel beneath the sink. She had a story she wanted to tell. I had my own version. One day, she brought a woman with her, introduced as Karen from the non-profit. "She's here to do a wellness check," Brooke said too brightly. Karen smiled with tight lips and asked if I knew the date. "The president. My address. Basic things." I answered each one slowly, clearly. Then smiled. "Can I ask you something?" Said. "What's the name of your organization?" "Green Care Support," she replied. He nodded. "And how long have you known my grandson?" She blinked. I just work with Brooke." That was the last question I asked. The next time Brooke came by, I played the role a little harder. Forgot her name once. Asked her if we'd already eaten lunch. She scribbled in her notebook. And I smiled to myself. She thought I was fading. But the truth was, I was sharpening. It was the first Saturday in September, hot and cloudless, the kind of day children remember in sun-bleached snapshots. Bright streamers, wet grass under bare feet, frosting on fingertips. My great-granddaughter, Lacey, turned 5. I knew the date by heart. I'd sewn her a quilt the day she was born, every stitch done between hospital visits and cups of cold cafeteria coffee. I hadn't missed a birthday yet. So when I didn't receive an invitation, no call, no card, not even a mention from Brooke, I assumed it was a mistake. Maybe they were doing something small this year. Maybe it had been cancelled. Maybe Brooke forgot to mention it. Called Cody. He didn't pick up. Then later that night my neighbor, young woman in the trailer 2 doors down, came by to return a Tupperware. She mentioned seeing the big family party online. "What party?" asked. She tilted her head. "Lacey's birthday, I think. The decorations were beautiful." That was the first sharp cut. Later, after she left, I opened my old phone and scrolled through social media. Accounts I hadn't touched in months. I typed Brooke Miller into the search bar. And there it was. Dozens of photos. The backyard of Cody's big new house, dressed in pink and gold streamers. A bouncy castle. Folding tables with cupcakes lined in neat rows. Lacey, beaming, atop someone's shoulders. Everyone was tagged. Everyone except me. I clicked on one of the photos. There stood Brooke, holding a balloon bouquet, smiling wide with the caption, "Another magical day. So grateful to our amazing family. Couldn't have done it without you." And in the comments, people gushed. "You're incredible, Brooke. The way you manage everything. That little girl is so lucky to have you. Bless you for taking care of Helen too. I don't know how you do it." That last one stopped me cold. Take care of me. I hadn't seen Brooke in 10 days. I hadn't had a working air conditioner in 4 weeks. My groceries came from the corner gas station. I'd lost 8 pounds in 1 month. Take care of me. I clicked through more photos. One showed a group huddled on the porch laughing. Cody was there, holding Lacey. Tanya's family. Brooke's parents. Cousins I hadn't seen in years. I wasn't there. There was a photo of an empty chair on the deck, with a paper sign taped to the back that read, "Reserved for Grandma." I leaned in, heart lurching. Then realized it wasn't for me. Brooke's mother was in the next photo, sitting in the chair, sipping from a plastic cup. "Grandma June enjoying the party," the caption read. So that was it. I wasn't just forgotten. I had been replaced. I turned off the phone and sat in the dark for a long time. The hum of the fridge was the only sound, like a single note held too long. Then, at 11:42 p.m., I received a text from Brooke. "Sorry we didn't include you today. We figured the noise and heat would be too much. Don't want to exhaust you. Hope you're resting." No invitation. No explanation. Just that. I stared at the message for a long time, then typed one word. "Thank you." I didn't send it. I deleted it. Instead, I set the phone down and walked to the kitchen, poured myself a glass of warm tap water, and stood in the hallway where my framed photos used to hang. I had taken them down the week before. Too many eyes looking at me from better years. The next day, I opened the cabinet under the sink and pulled out my folder, the one where I'd been tucking away receipts, notes, and bits of overheard conversations. I added a new page. September 3rd. Lacey's birthday. No invite. No mention. Brooke says noise too much. Saw party photos online. I wrote slowly, clearly, as if someone else might need to read it one day. I sat back in my chair, placed the folder on my lap, and realized something strange. I wasn't crying. Not a single tear. I didn't feel hollow or furious. Felt sharp. Like something had snapped back into place. They weren't just pushing me aside. They were building a version of me. One that was sick, fragile, confused. One who wouldn't notice her name vanishing from invitations. One who wouldn't check her bank account. One who would quietly drift away, leaving them with the story already written. But I hadn't drifted. I'd been watching. And now I would begin to speak. Quietly. Deliberately. And when I did, the story would change. The call came 2 days after Lacey's party. Cody again. But this time his voice wasn't easy or warm. "Nana," he said, breathless. "Quick question, you're getting the money I've been sending, right?" I was sitting in the kitchen with the window open, the late Texas heat curling its way across the linoleum floor. My inhaler lay empty on the counter. I stared at it while I answered. "What money?" Silence. "I've been wiring $8,000 a month to Brooke. For over 2 years. For your care. Groceries. Bills. Medicine. Rent." I let the silence stretch this time. Then I asked softly, "And have I ever thanked you?" He paused. "No. But I didn't need that." "I should've," I said. "Because the idea of someone loving me that much, it matters." Another pause. Then he said, "Nana, what's really going on?" That's when we started digging. It began with Cody requesting the financial statements from his assistant. Just to cross-reference, he said. Just to make sure things matched. They didn't. In the files Brooke had given him, she listed thousands in expenses each month. $600 for prescription delivery. $1,200 for medical transport to weekly appointments. $400 for weekly grocery delivery and nutritional supplements. $800 for home repairs and utility support. $1,000 in personal care expenses, toiletries, in-home nursing mobility equipment. There were PDFs, all professional, stamped with the name of a non-profit called Green Care Support. It looked official, but Cody noticed something odd. Every PDF was signed by the same person, a director of care services, someone named Karen L. Holden. The same Karen I remembered from the wellness check. The one who asked me who the president was. Cody called the number listed on the letterhead. Disconnected. He searched for the nonprofit online. Nothing but a dead website. One page, no contact info, and a few stock photos of smiling older women holding mugs. I told him what I'd seen. The notebook, the staged check-ins, the mysterious casseroles, the invasive questions. He asked me to start saving everything. Already had. It took less than a week to gather enough for Cody to realize the full scope. Brooke had been siphoning the funds, $192,000 over 24 months, into a personal LLC she created under the name GCS Holdings, which stood for Green Care Support, just like the fake nonprofit. She'd set up a joint account for it under the guise of streamlining billing for my expenses. The account had paid for spa treatments, a pool renovation at her house, 2 separate cars, private school tuition for her nephew. A mobility-accessible deck, she said, was for my use. I'd never seen it. Cody's voice cracked on the phone when he said, "She sent me a receipt for a stairlift. Nana, you don't even have stairs." "No," I said calmly, "I don't." He asked me to keep acting as if nothing had changed. Said we needed to be methodical. "I'm going to get you out of there," he promised. "But we have to be quiet. Legal. Precise." He nodded. Though he couldn't see me, he felt it. "I need to call my attorney," he added. "You do that," I said. "And I'll keep gathering." Found more. Inside a manila folder left on the passenger seat of Brooke's car, I found a home renovation proposal addressed to her and Cody, outlining elder-safe upgrades, totaling over $30,000. Ramp installation, accessible kitchen conversion, smart safety devices. The house was not mine. The upgrades were never installed. When I asked her once weeks ago if she'd ever consider letting me visit, she had smiled and said, "Oh Helen, the house isn't really set up for someone with your needs." No, but the money I never saw paid for the ones she fabricated. Each day more evidence stacked up. Cody found out she'd even forged a secondary POA, a document listing her as alternate decision-maker in case I became incapacitated. She'd submitted it through a legal website and signed it digitally. He traced the IP address. It didn't come from my trailer. Came from her office. And then came the final blow. He discovered a credit card opened in my name, using my social security number, that had been active for over a year. More than $18,000 in charges. All for senior services. None of which I received. None of which I ever authorized. She'd applied online using the mailing address of her brother, and linked it to the same fraudulent LLC. The bills came via email, to an address she created using my maiden name. Cody was livid. "Come. I'll handle this," he said. "You don't need to do anything." But I did. Because one night, I woke up with sweat on my neck and the ceiling fan groaning above me. I realized that Brooke hadn't just been stealing money. She'd been stealing me. My identity. My dignity. My right to exist as someone competent, lucid, and whole. She'd been building a version of me that didn't ask questions, that forgot things, that nodded off at dinner and slept through life. She wanted that woman. She needed her. Because that woman couldn't fight back. So I stood up, turned on the light, opened the folder under the sink, and made a new list. Next steps. Speak to legal aid, Cody's contact. Freeze credit. Move inhaler prescription to new pharmacy. Make copies of everything. Clear a small bag just in case. And at the bottom I wrote, "Remember, you are not confused. You are not weak. You are watching." That week we made moves. Cody's lawyer filed motions to freeze the fraudulent LLC's assets. He began the process of reversing the POA. Contacting every agency Brooke had duped. We notified the bank, the credit card company, pharmacy, and we began preparing for court. I didn't sleep much, but I slept better. One morning I went to refill my bird feeder and noticed the red car Brooke always drove was parked a few trailers down. She didn't come in. She didn't wave. She just sat there, watching. Maybe she sensed it. The tightening. The unraveling. Maybe she knew the door was closing. That the version of me she'd counted on, docile, confused, quiet, was gone. And what stood in her place was someone else entirely. I didn't confront her. That would have given her the stage. And Brooke was always good with a stage. The concerned daughter-in-law, the overworked caregiver, the unsung saint. I'd seen it enough in her eyes, in the way she tilted her head when she spoke about what Helen needs, to strangers who barely knew my name. Instead, I played the role she had written for me. I slowed down my words. Let questions repeat. Fumbled with the remote on purpose. I even called her darling once. Something I hadn't done since the early years when I tried to like her. She smiled tight. Scribbled in her little notebook. I saw her through narrowed eyes. She believed every word. I let my voice get soft when I spoke about the past. Did Cody say he was sending money? I asked once, a wrinkle of confusion in my brow. I can't quite remember. She brightened. Oh, Helen, don't worry. You don't have to think about that anymore. Then she leaned into her phone when I turned away. Whispered into it. Logged another note, no doubt. That night, Cody and I reviewed the audio from her visit. We had placed a small recorder beneath the armrest of the worn recliner. She never looked twice. Never suspected. She's building a case, Cody said flatly, listening to her quiet commentary about my decline. He nodded. Let her. She's doing us a favor. The recordings piled up. We captured her admitting she handled my mail so I didn't get stressed. We caught her saying she pre-authorized a refill that had never arrived. We even got audio of her saying, if she starts asking too many questions, we may need to consider other arrangements. Other arrangements. That's when I knew. She wasn't just stealing. She was planning an exit. Quiet one. The kind that ends with me in a home, drugged and silenced, while she changed passwords and played victim. So we moved faster. Cody changed the locks. He transferred my prescriptions to a new pharmacy and filed a complaint against the old one. He set up 2 accounts in my name, one for essentials, one for the legal team, and made me sole owner. Every paper she had forged, every fraudulent receipt, every false care report, we copied, sorted, logged. Cody's attorney began prepping the case. Quietly. We didn't tell anyone. Not my cousins. Not old friends. Not the neighbor who returned my Tupperware. No one. The fewer voices involved, the harder it would be for Brooke to spin her web. And she knew something was changing. She showed up on a Monday with a bag of apples and an expired coupon for frozen meals. She smiled too much. Called me Mom 4 times in 5 minutes. Something she hadn't done in years. Then she slipped. She mentioned a trip coming up. How she and Cody were thinking about moving me to a place with real care. I tilted my head. You mean a facility? She blinked. It's just a backup plan. Backup plan? For me. When she left, I locked the door behind her. Then I sat down and wrote a letter. Not to Cody. Not to the courts. To myself. She sees your softness as permission. But you are not soft. You are sanded down and sharpening. 3 days later, Cody installed cameras. Discreet. One above the door. One in the living room. One near the kitchen where most of our conversations happened. Brooke never looked up. She brought a woman with her again. Not Karen this time. Someone younger, wearing scrubs and a badge that said, WellCare. They asked the same questions. Do you know your birthday? Can you identify this fruit? What year is it? Answered wrong. Once. On purpose. Brooke took notes. Later we reviewed the footage. Cody froze the frame on the woman's ID. His lawyer traced the badge number. It belonged to a temp agency in Dallas. One that did not offer elder evaluations. Fake again. It was almost too easy. But still I said nothing. Not to Brooke. Not yet. When Brooke's attorney tried to reach out, to settle, to discuss terms, I told Cody. No. Let the process speak. We didn't want money. We wanted truth. On paper. On record. No more secrets passed in Tupperware and half-lies. No more family group photos with the caption, blessed, while I was kept off screen. We were done with shadows. And as the case moved toward court, I began to feel something I hadn't felt in years. Not relief. Not victory. Just air, clear and unfiltered, filling a space that had long been stifled. The kind of air you only breathe when someone stops pressing their thumb against your name. The courtroom was smaller than I expected. Just rows of wooden benches, a judge who barely looked up when he spoke, and the soft clicking of keyboards behind plastic shields. I sat next to Cody, wearing a blouse I hadn't touched since my husband's funeral. Pale blue. Pressed the night before. I wore no makeup, no perfume, only my wedding ring and a sense of finality. Brooke was there too. She didn't look at me. She wore pearls, the same ones I'd given her 15 years ago as a Christmas gift. Back when I believed kindness could fill the cracks in someone's nature. Her lawyer read from a prepared statement. He painted her as overworked, misinformed, misled. He used words like oversight, confusion, stress. He said she had always acted with the best of intentions. Our attorney handed over folders, documents, audio files, forged receipts, screenshots, bank statements, flash drive, the notebook, evidence. The room was silent. Then came the emails. The ones Brooke wrote to Cody. The ones where she described me as slipping fast, barely lucid, unfit to make financial decisions. The ones where she forwarded Cody invoices for care sessions that never existed, complete with fake names and titles. The judge didn't raise his voice. He barely blinked. But when he looked over the papers, then back at her, his words were quiet and final. You constructed an alternate reality in which the victim appeared incapable, and then used that story to drain her life out from under her. Brooke cried. Not when he said those words. When the bailiff stepped forward. 2 weeks later, the charges were made official. Elder fraud, mail tampering, identity manipulation, and financial abuse. Her bond was set. Her passport was seized. She will not be traveling anytime soon. But I will. That week, Cody handed me a set of keys. House. Pale yellow. With a porch swing that creaks a little when you sit down too hard. The deed has my name on it. Only mine. 10 minutes from Cody. Close enough for visits. Far enough for peace. The fridge is full. The air conditioner hums quietly. No freight train noise, no dangerous heat. I sleep through the night. My prescriptions are refilled on time. My name is on the mailbox again, in clear bold letters. The bank account is in my name. The mail arrives every day around noon. And with it, something else began arriving. Letters. Handwritten. From family members who hadn't called in years. From cousins who had believed Brooke's versions of the truth. I'm so sorry. I didn't know. She told us you didn't want contact. I should have checked. I should have asked you. Some of them I replied to. Some of them I didn't. Because healing isn't just about reconnecting. It's about deciding what deserves to be rebuilt, and what should stay gone. Kept the letters in a box. Next to my husband's locket. The one he gave me after 30 years of marriage. Inside it, a photo of us laughing on a beach in Galveston. Young. Windblown. Free. Cody comes by every Sunday. Brings a bag of groceries, not because I need them but because he likes to. We sit on the porch. Drink real coffee. Talk about simple things. He's quieter now. Gentler. He listens more than he speaks. Once he said, I should have seen it sooner. I touched his hand and said, but you did see. That's what matters. We don't talk about Brooke much. She's no longer in our story. Her name only shows up in legal filings and the occasional news article. The case drew some attention. Headlines about elder exploitation, misuse of trust, the dangers of unchecked guardianship. Some lawyer from Austin called it a cautionary tale for families everywhere. But I'm not a cautionary tale. I'm not a tragedy. I'm a woman who stopped waiting to be valued. And now I am free. I keep my windows open most mornings. The sun hits the kitchen table just right around 8:30 a.m. That's when I sit with my second cup of coffee. I have a little dog now, rescued from a shelter. His name is Jasper. He likes to nap at my feet. Some afternoons, I walk past a nearby elementary school. The children wave at Jasper. Some call me Miss Helen. I don't correct them. I've started painting again. Just watercolors, small ones. Keep them on the fridge. A woman from church asked if I'd donate one to a silent auction. Said yes. Have peace now. Not because I won something, but because I stopped giving pieces of myself away for free. My identity is no longer a shared utility. My silence is no longer anyone's safety net. My kindness is not currency. I'm not someone's inconvenience. I'm not a problem to solve. I'm me, and that at long last is enough.